Hey everybody, Jake Reichbart here. Today I'm going to share with you a lengthy lesson excerpt. So have your guitars ready and we're going to have some fun together arranging a song. Perhaps you've seen some of my many hundreds of solo guitar arrangements I have here on YouTube, and the inspiration for these arrangements is right here behind me, as you can see. I grew up with these vinyls, and I draw pretty much from any kind of style imaginable from the pop music of the past 100 years, everything from Glenn Miller to Van Halen, Alan Holdsworth to Motown, and pretty much anything in between. Beatles, I have perhaps 25 Beatles song arrangements, 20 Steely Dan song arrangements, same for Stevie Wonder, rock, hard rock, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and of course tons and tons of classic jazz standards from the 40s and 50s, bebop, dance tunes, movie themes. And if you want to learn how to arrange any of these songs for solo guitar, I can teach you. Just like the excerpt that you're about to watch, which comes from a lesson that runs about 90 minutes, I have nearly 200 additional titles, and they are mostly song specific. I enjoy teaching through specific songs because I can show you hands-on how I approach arranging a song. What's nice about these lessons is that I don't just tell you, do this and you're done, but rather I'll take you through 3 or 4 or 5 different ways to play the same passage. I'll work with you on dynamics, on articulation, and 100 other things that you cannot just put to paper. As I mentioned, these lessons run approximately 90 minutes. The introduction, which runs usually 15 minutes, focuses on the right hand and rhythm, and in this introduction I go through my 3 pillars of rhythmic arranging, the first principle being melody and bass only, the second being rhythmic arpeggiation, and the third, of course, the down stroke that I play with my right hand fingernails to produce that backbeat that everybody asks me about. Nevertheless, I do have 2 main method lessons. The first one, how to arrange any song for solo guitar, running 2 hours, and also an introduction to fingerstyle guitar and solo guitar arranging, running 2 hours and 40 minutes. The information about these lessons, the cost, my full lesson list, as well as a link to the full performance of the song that we're working on today is below in the information. So expand the information, take a look, and let's get started. The introduction starts in this position, and I use it also really as the chorus. That sound right there. And as you can see, there's no movement with the left hand to produce these 3 melody notes. And essentially you're playing an E minor 9 type sound. You can play these 3 notes with this finger or this finger, but at any rate, the 3 notes from the top are B, F sharp, and D on strings 1, 2, 3 on the 7th fret. And also the G on the 4th string, 5th fret. If you play these 4 notes separately, it looks like, and it sounds like, and it is in fact, a G major 7. So that's a little bit benefit bonus. If you play a G major 7, but over an E, you'll essentially get a E minor 9. So again, I often do it with the 4th finger. You can also do it with the 3rd finger. You can do it with separate fingers. I find that very tight. But if you're more of a classical player, that's a possibility as well. I just use 1 finger. And as I mentioned in the introduction, these melody notes are syncopated. Well, not the first one, but these 2 are. And it produces a very full sound. The melody is in fact the chord notes, arpeggiated. And you notice that once I finished playing this phrase, I arpeggiated a little bit. Right there. We have 2 chords now, each, both of them have B in the bass. The first one is A, and the second one is a B. So 2 triads, major triads, A and B, both against the B. This first one producing that B11, B suspended B mixolydian sound. I often finger it like this, whereby the 3 melody notes are played with fingers 1, 2, and 4. And then with the 3rd finger, in this case I get the bass, but when the chord moves up, I switch to my thumb to play the bass when it's the B chord. But what are the chords? Well, like I said, an A triad. You can also play, I suppose, like this. A little bit less convenient, perhaps, depending on how you like to play it. There's another way to play it, which we will use actually in a moment. I'll demonstrate that when we get there. So if you wanted to, you can just do this. But for now, let's focus on this. So E, C sharp, and A makes the A triad, and F sharp, D sharp, and B make the B triad, and both of them are against B. And then I repeat these 3 notes. And that's the second part of the phrase. And so I repeat the notes B, D sharp, F sharp, and I go to this position, which is very similar to this, but with one important difference, that instead of B on top, now I have the A on top. And I finger it like this, and I have G, D, F sharp, and A. And the notes would be A, F sharp, D, which is essentially a D triad. But I find myself hammering this note on. Let's not forget that we are playing the guitar, and what we want to do is, when possible, add guitar things to the performance, not only just to play the notes, but add guitar type articulations to the arrangement. So what can we do on the guitar? Well, we can do hammers, pulls, vibrato, bends, slides, things like that. Those are expressive tools on the guitar that are not available on other instruments. We don't have the breathiness of horns, for example, trumpet or saxophone, but we are one step above the piano in a sense, because the piano cannot bend or play vibrato. So we have some advantages. So let's take advantage of what we got. We can also use open strings, which is a very nice sound. I really love the sound of chords that have blended notes in them, notes that are further up the neck, fretted, as well as open strings. Anyway, back to what we're doing. So let me take it from the top. And at the end of the phrase, I add this little A to B and back to A hammer. This is a little different. I start with the same chord, A over B, but now I move the entire chord up a step and a half, so C over D. So the notes are in the same position exactly. You drag them up. G, E, C over D. So that this whole section one more time. 3 notes as pickup notes for the next time, for the second time of this starting. And what are these 3 notes? A, B on the 4th string, frets 7 and 9 to D. Now here's the thing, here's a place where I compromised. When I arrived here, this bass note carries over. What I should have done, found a way to continue to play the D note and then play, because musically speaking, that's what's happening. These 3 notes are really played over the D because it carries on. what I'm doing now is I'm letting go. You know, it's a compromise that I'm making. It's a big change to jump around between these two fingerings that are far from each other. This one and this one. It seemed like too much work for me, for lack of a better way of putting it. I'm pretty lazy that way. And so I skipped this. Just musically, I thought I'd mention that the D carries over. But I just play these three notes by themselves. And then, same thing as we've done. Now, instead of doing that, which is what we did earlier, I'm doing it down here. Why am I moving down here? That's why, because I have that string section line from the original recording, that I thought, I'm going to copy this one. It's kind of part of the song. It jumps out at me. I'm going to copy it. And I couldn't find a satisfying way. I guess that's possible too. At any rate, I moved here. So what am I doing here? I'm doing exactly what I did here, but on a different set of strings. Instead of strings 6, 4, 3, 2, I'm playing 5, 3, 2, 1.